What is up, everybody? We are live for the Terrence Mitchell episode 39 of the Barking Brown Show. I am your host, Jacob. I'm at Roachism13 on the Twitters, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Nick Carnes at Carnesies817 on Twitter. We are presented by Couch Guy Sports. Nick, how are we doing tonight?
Hi. You know what? There's a lot of there's all kinds of Browns discussion going on right now, but
most of it is not fun.
Most of it isn't, but we have some fun, definitely some fun coming your way. So I'm feeling better about that.
We have two, what we will now refer to as regularly occurring segments that will begin tonight and run through the offseason.
I think I might need to choose some more violence so I can fuel my segment.
You might have to. It might be necessary. But we're going to have some fun, man. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some draft. We're going to have some laughs. I will say off the top of the show that because all the information is not out there and I do not wish to pass judgment on something I don't fully understand, we will not be talking about the Malik McDowell situation and what came out today. We will let that run its course and let the justice system do what it does. I saw more stuff come out. All I can say is whatever's going on, seems as though he probably needs help and support right now. And I do hope that somebody somewhere gives that to him. And that is as far as I will go. Producer Ed is in the background checking the Twitter comments. So fire any questions, comments away. We will direct this show exactly how you guys want this show to be directed. Yeah. If you're on YouTube, I can see it as well as on Facebook.
That's kind of the fun thing about the off season, right? Is that there's a lot of directions you can go in. You know, people want to talk about and come from Browns content in all different angles, right? Yeah. And so there's a bunch of different pieces that you can add. And I think I just want to get this off my chest because I think we have a lot of fun and a lot of constructive things to talk about. Mm-hmm. And there's one elephant in the room that just will not go away right now. Okay. And I just want to address it and get it out of the way. Okay. And that is one Odell Beckham Jr. and his ascent in LA, right? He's got 6 touchdowns now in his games and like his yards aren't super incredible, but obviously he's being really effectively used. Like, maybe Robert Woods tears his ACL and maybe the LA pass game suffers. And now with Odell Beckham, he's really,
I would call him more efficient.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think he's more efficient.
I'll tell you what, and I didn't see the Rams Cardinals game. I needed to go to bed, but I watched the highlights, and so obviously I saw. It's so weird because the Browns ran fades with Odell Beckham in the end zone too. They just never worked, right? It's so interesting to see that
when they did run it, yeah.
When they did, I'm not all the time, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean. And so I just want to say this because there's people that are spending their time really being mad about Odell and, just being upset about the whole situation and what happened with the Browns and all this stuff with Odell. And here's what I have to say. When Odell got hurt last year and the Browns went on to be really successful offensively and they go win a playoff game, nobody cares about Odell. Everyone's like, the Browns are better off without Odell. Somehow the offense is better. Odell leaves. The Cincinnati game this year happens. Everyone's like, oh, my God, the Browns are better off without Odell. If the Browns had just held up their end of the bargain and they were in the playoffs right now, if they were getting ready for a divisional playoff game just like they did last year, nobody in Cleveland would be yelling or caring about what Odell Beckham Jr. is doing in LA. The only reason people are so up in arms about all of this is because the Browns did not hold up their end of the bargain. I'm not going to spend time being mad about Odell Beckham. I'm not going to spend time, being angry or being like, what if? It didn't work out in Cleveland, and the problem is not Odell Beckham Jr. is not Cleveland's problem anymore. The problem that the Browns and Browns fans, we all should be thinking about is how do we improve and get back to where we want to be? I think you torture yourself if you continue to think of what could have been, because realistically, when they were at their best, they were not. It was without Odell. I think it was coincidental last year in 2020. I think that's when they just started to click. I don't think it was as a result. I said that all offseason. Yeah. And this year it didn't work. It doesn't make sense.
it could be because of Baker. And I know a lot of people are saying that, and it very well could be. But I told somebody in DMs, a friend of mine that was talking about it. Well, he was talking about Josh Allen as well. And I said, just don't torture yourself.
Yeah.
Like, just don't torture yourself about what could have been. We are where we are. If you want to root, I said I rooted for both parties when they left. I said, I hope Odell flourishes and I hope the Browns flourish. Yeah. And I'll continue to say that. I'm happy for Odell. I know people want to say he quit on the team. Maybe I feel like he kind of did too. I don't know. But, either way, it's no matter what you want to say, if you continue to dwell on that, you're just going to bring yourself down because it's not something we can do about it. You've moved on, right? Yeah. They have moved on from him. So I think we should try to find a way to move on. You can still root for him without connecting it, because like it always, when somebody roots for it, it always comes back to add Baker hate to it.
Yeah.
And the reality is, at this point, it didn't work. He's gone. Baker is here. And until Baker is not here, he is your problem and Odell isn't. If it makes sense. That is my 2 cents on it. I just wish we would all stop trying to kill each other over literally everything on the internet. And that's why people are like, man, I've not been around, and I'm going to continue to not be around except for when I put out content and stuff like this. I'm not interacting with a bunch of people because anything you put out right now, people want to kill you over. Like it is a madhouse, and I don't understand how people continue to navigate it.
I put out that Nick Chubb was the second leading rusher in the NFL, and people were like attacking my post about Nick Chubb being the second leading rusher in the NFL. Like, people are, and you know what? I know brown people bleed on brown and orange, brown, all that stuff. Yeah. But it's like, you got to take a breath. Right? Like yeah. There's no use being this frustrated over it. It's like, you got to think constructively and move forward. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
In the spirit of moving forward, I want to say, and I'm sure Roger will be rocking it, but I see your shirt. I see my shirt. Our great friends at Zabo Apparel. I just want to say thank you for all your wonderful support. You make great shirts, and we continue to have these wonderful people that support us, our wonderful patrons. Thank you all for your support. And as Jacob said, I'm going to steal it. The most valuable thing you can give everyone is your time. I love it. I had to do it, Jacob. I had to do it.
Thank you for, again, giving some of your time to us. I literally had those words on the tip of my mouth when you took it over. All right, let me do this ad read, and we'll bring Ed on real quick. So ever feel unable to focus, tired, or just low on energy? We understand that feeling. We understand it so well that the Bark and Brown Show is brought to you by Couch Guys Sports Network and sponsored by our friends over at Shocked Energy. Shocked Energy is an energy drink made by gamers for gamers. All their flavors come packed with 180 milligrams of caffeine to ensure that no matter what you're doing, your focus will always be razor sharp to keep you performing at the top of your game. Their formulas are designed to specifically give you the high energy boost when you need it most, while ensuring to avoid the jitters from too much caffeine consumption. Head over to www.shockedenergy.com and use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. Check out their green apple flavor box or even their watermelon flavored box. Oh, and don't worry, they ship worldwide. That's right. Shipped worldwide. Get your Shocked Energy today and let us help you gain your focus and energy back. We have a few comments already coming over on the Twitter. Keep firing those comments. There's questions along. I love these off-season. I come into these with less prepared material because I really love to get people's words. We will be doing more for the fans episodes coming up as well. Just let it be known that a lot of our friendships started with people just jumping on the show and just bullshitting Browns with us in the off season. Our producer being the first person who did that. Yep. Well, no, I think Andy actually went first, but Ed was on the first for the fans.
Yeah, they were all day one dogs.
Yeah, he was on there. I just don't remember the order in which I think Andy had to go first because he was at a casino in Vegas and just pounding beers, and it was just phenomenal. So we're going to bring on our good friend producer Ed. He's going to tell us what we got on tonight's show, even though we're 10 minutes in when I do this.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're going to have a great show. I got to say shout out to Papa Mick because he said, "What's Ed doing?" Well, I'm behind the scenes monitoring the Twitter comments, and I happen to see yours just now, so that's what I'm doing. Also, too, guys, I just want to ask you guys about the snowstorm that we had. Did you guys get buried? And what's the current situation on the ground in Cleveland and then in Athens, Jacob?
Well, we got 9 inches of snow down here. A lot of the back roads. Luckily for me, I live like a mile off the highway, and it's through a main stretch of town, and then just like a couple of blocks over. So I'm good. And of course, today being the first day that I needed to go out, I was off work yesterday, so I went out. I had no problems myself. I know that a lot of the back roads are bad, but the highways around me are pretty good. I don't own a snow shovel, so that's a thing that happened as I had to back over a bank of almost a foot of snow that was behind my Subaru Impreza this morning. And I managed to do it and get out. So there's that. But I now have all of the they were all sold out. I went to Lowe's, Menards, and Walmart. Couldn't find a snow shovel. I do have salt, but we are expecting inclement weather again tomorrow night. So
really,
but at least down here. So buckle up.
Got it. Well, so I luckily I kind of have a little bit of autonomy over, deciding how to work. And I was driving home from a friend's Sunday night, and it was getting pretty crappy. So I was just thinking, I was like, this just doesn't seem worth it. It just doesn't. So I didn't go to work on Monday. And in true story, our semi that delivers our stuff actually got stuck in the parking lot of delivering. So I wouldn't have been on time anyway. So I was really glad about that. But I spent like an hour digging my car out of the parking lot. And then because I like a dope didn't take a snow shovel today. So I spent like another hour digging out my truck with a snow brush, which was quite a production. So that that was fun. You know what? And I was just thinking, I was like, we've been pretty lucky with no snow. It's like it's cold, but like no snow, and it's been nice. And I know we're not spoiled like you down there, Ed, who almost has all your snow gone. We got quite a bit, but hey, it's winter. It's January. What are you gonna do?
That's correct. I mean, what are you going to do? Well, you just pray for the sun and hopefully it melts. But and that's what we got in Columbus. We only got about maybe 3 inches. So sorry. And I saw you, Jacob, Athens. Usually you don't get that much snow. You got bombed. You got bombed.
Yeah, it was really funny because I work for Ohio University. I've said it before, and I work in transportation, so we have a lot of services, some transportation going on, and things that run 7 days a week. So we were monitoring the situation on Sunday to see if we needed to send we have student employees that were working and stuff. Like, do we need to send them home? We were monitoring the situation, and I'm the closest to town, so where I'm at, I'm very close to campus. So it usually comes to me like, hey, what is going on right where you're at? Like, what is it like? And so I'm like on the back porch talking to my boss and his boss, her boss, and his boss, and I'm like, well, right now it's raining because it was kind of hard, like freezing rain. It was hitting
sleet, kind of. That's
yeah.
That comes
it was like that slushy stuff, and I was like, but it's getting colder. I could feel the wind, and it was getting colder. And I went and I sat on the couch, and it was dark at this point. And I was sitting on the couch, and I kind of looked up. It was probably about 20 minutes. I looked up and I looked outside, and it got lighter outside. Now it's not supposed to do that. Why was it lighter outside? Because white stuff was just in. And I went back, I flipped on this, and I was like, we got to shut this down now. I said, it is pounding snow. They are as big as quarters. We got to send these people home. And then we sent them home like 20 minutes after that. We're just like getting everybody out of there before it got bad. And as far as what I have been told, everybody got home safely. So
I saw somebody today, somebody on my way home, ran their car into a ditch. And so they had friends this morning there. There were like 6 people with shovels digging this van out of a ditch today.
Now that is good friends.
Yeah, those are good friends.
Those are good.
I don't have 6 friends, so I don't know what I would do.
Well, like all my friends are you guys, and you guys are like, you're not coming down here and dig me out of a ditch. Like, but Ed, we love you, my friend. We will see you a little later on.
Keep those Twitter comments coming in. And I have to say this because I am in Columbus and I lost a bet. Orange is the new black. Hoo day. Sorry.
Oh.
That's okay, because I'm from Joe Burrow land, and
Okay.
That's okay.
Ed, we'll keep firing him, guys. Let's have a great show.
Ed will be on in about 20 minutes. We're trying to keep these off-season shows a little closer to an hour, also because I'm now really old and I got to go to bed at a decent hour. So so Ed will be on in about 20 minutes for his first ever Ed segment.
Huge.
And we're going to see how it's – you guys tell us when Ed comes on later. You guys tell us if you like Ed's segments. And
yeah.
And Kelly, no, and I know Kelly, she'll be probably chiming in. Kelly, I know you're probably going to be a thumbs down, but hey, I love you still, babe. I love you.
We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
I will say, I think I just want to say, Jake, we were talking pre-show about just the struggles of Browns Twitter right now. And I think both Jacob and I and Ed would agree with this, want to continue to make this fun. Yeah. So as we move forward here, you can expect that. I think I speak for all of us when I say we're gonna do our part to make it's supposed to be fun, right?
I think that you'll probably get me being more active on Twitter again, probably after the playoffs. I'm just so upset that they're not in the playoffs. I'm going to be a little less active on there until I think things will cool down eventually once we are all full in hopeful draft mode again, like we always are. And we're going to start tonight a little bit later. We are going to go over my most recent mock draft. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the first 5 players that I took. Including a trade down. I'll talk about a couple of receivers, a guy I like at edge. I'm going to possibly give you my day 2 crush, and we'll talk a little bit about him. And he wasn't in this week's mock because a guy that I like even more that shouldn't be there at 44 was. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit, but I want to catch up on some of these questions real quick. So we've got Nickett. He asks, what is Cleveland's stance at drafting a quarterback late for the possibility for life after Baker? That is a really good question. So I think that's where we're going to start. We've got some good questions in there. There's a couple other ones that we will get to here in just a second. So we're going to start there. We're going to move on to some draft stuff. And then we've got one of the segments is Jacob's Draft Corner. That's coming up soon. We're going to talk about that. And then Nick's going to read us one of the weird and creepy DMs that he got. So that's Nick's junk mail. Ed came up with that name. I love it. And so we're going to do that. And Ed's got a segment here in about 20 or so minutes. So you guys don't want to miss that. So stance on drafting quarterbacks. Obviously, we have no idea about this front office because they haven't drafted one. We know that they value the backup quarterback position because theoretically, if I get what you're saying for potentially being Baker's replacement. So in your scenario, I'm assuming drafting him to be the backup first. So I would say we don't really know, but we know that they value the backup quarterback. I think Nick Mullins was brought in to replace Case Keenum going in next year. That's not like a unique idea of mine. A bunch of people have said that, but I think they clearly value it. If they are in a position, let's say, for example, in the 3rd round, they're like at 78. I know things can change because I don't think compensatory picks start till the end of the 3rd. So they'll be, around 78. If there's a guy at 78 that they think is the 50th best player on the board and he happens to be a quarterback, I think they would pull the trigger. So I think it's all going to be about who is there, where they match up along their draft board. This team is not afraid to move on from people. We saw that with Larry Ogunjobi and Sheldon Richardson, guys that were beloved characters that had, Sheldon more so than Larry, even though we all were big, because Larry was on his rookie deal. So it's not as hard to let an expired rookie deal walk as it is to cut a big contract of a guy that, probably could have helped you this year. I know Sheldon didn't have a crazy year in Minnesota, but he could have helped because the defensive tackle depth was really challenged and Malik Jackson really struggled this year. But I think this team will do what they think is best. If Baker's what they think is best, it'll be him. If, a guy, I'm trying to think where Zap play. I can't think. There's some good prospects on day 2. Do I think there's a possibility that on day 2 they take a quarterback? Yes, I do. And I think that answers your question.
Yeah, the Brown, like,
I'll be right back.
we
Sorry.
haven't seen how they handle quarterback or like the quarterback position, but I definitely think that Andrew Berry has not shied away from being aggressive in places that he needs to be. So, honestly, and when Jacob comes back, I'll ask him what he thinks. But I honestly think if they really like somebody, I would not be surprised if they pick someone early, because that's the thing about this Browns organization and kind of the way things have been going is like in previous years, there was kind of always like this read on what the Browns were doing and what they were thinking and all of that. But this organization, this regime has been way more tight-lipped than a lot of their predecessors. So I don't think we've had a good read on what they'll do really at all.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you can identify needs, but you don't know exactly who they like or what. So, I mean, it would not shock me. Like if they, because I honestly, I know that they came out and they said that Baker's their guy moving forward and they expect him back next year.
You can't say anything else.
If they took a guy, yeah, you can't take it. You can't say anything else, right? You're not going to say anything else.
No.
If they draft a quarterback even early, like it wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be like, this is the craziest thing ever. Like, I could see them addressing because I don't know, they could believe in Baker Mayfield. It's totally possible, and maybe they bring in somebody for competition or they bring someone in late. But if they don't, it wouldn't shock me if they drafted someone early or if they made some big trade or whatever. I think all options are on the table. Honestly.
Andrew Berry told us he would aggressively acquire talent. And rather, all of his draft picks or free agency signings have panned out, and not all of them have. We can definitively say he has been aggressive in that sense. And I think that continues. If 40, I don't know that they'll pick a quarterback in the first round unless like something happened and they had 2 first-round picks. You know what I mean? Like that's a scenario where I could see it, where if they traded back or whatever, I don't know, whatever they could possibly do. But or if they traded back into the first because somebody like Malik Willis or whatever, falls, whatever it might be. I could see him taking one at 44. I mean, I could see so many different combinations, but if they think Baker's the best, they won't do anything. But that doesn't.
I did just have this thought that when Baker flopped in his second year, he really came back and changed a lot of things, and had his basically his best year to date, his third year, and so now he's flopped in his fourth year too. So maybe I don't know. It shouldn't take that. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to be optimistic here. I don't know.
I can't do every other year like this. I just can't do
it. No, who can?
So, okay. We have a question. Favorite all-time Browns player, not currently on the team. I've said it a million times. I'll continue. It's Josh Cribbs. Nick, favorite former Brown?
Controversial. Very controversial. It's still Josh Gordon.
That's fine because that he was a freak talent, is a freak talent. It's one of those things.
I don't think we'll ever see a wide receiver with Josh Gordon's talent on the Browns again. I'm just convinced that man will never be fully appreciated for the talent he had, and that's his fault. I understand that, but I've never seen talent like that in a Browns uniform at wide receiver. Never, and I'm convinced I never will. So that's kind of sad, but.
Who are the free agent wide receivers you want the Browns to target? Okay, great question. I like DJ Chark a lot coming out of Jacksonville. I think he's a really good I don't think you bring him in to be the number one. I think you pair him with somebody that's dynamic in the draft, maybe even 2. I'm bringing in like 4 new wide receivers, total. Like that's what that's where I'm looking. DJ Chark, I like Cedric Wilson from Dallas. Granted, a lot of people point out that because he's there with Amari and CD, that's why he gets the coverages that he wants, which is why if he were to come to Cleveland, you would make sure that you had other guys to pull coverage away from him so that he could continue to grow in a similar role. I'm not sure how much more he could take on. I'm kicking the tires on Allen Robinson if the price is right.
I just looked up he turns 29. He'll be 29 going into the next season.
I'm kicking the tires. You can give me like a 1-year prove it Jadeveon Clowney type contract.
The one thing about Allen Robinson is he has never played with a good quarterback, and he's always this year has been bad for him. I'm sure all his numbers would reflect that. But aside from this year, he has always produced despite being in struggling pass games. And I think that's a real credit to him and his talent. And I love Allen Robinson.
If you got a dynamic first round receiver that had Allen Robinson there.
Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, please.
I'll kick the tires on him. DJ Chark, like I said, Cedric Wilson. There's a few other guys on there. The Calvin Ridley thing's weird because he's 29 too, coming, and he's still in his rookie deal, and he's like 28 or 29. He was an old prospect coming out.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to give. He's not a free agent. You would have to trade for him. But he's looking potentially to get out of Atlanta. I don't know. I like Calvin Ridley, the player, but realizing that he is that old and he's going to want an extension, his first opportunity to really get paid coming off his rookie deal.
He turns 28 in 2 days.
So there you go. Like he was an older prospect, and I don't know. But there's a lot of other names that are on there. Like you can still kick the tires on Gallup or Chris Godwin. I hate that they tore their ACL, especially so late in the year. Gallup was my guy. You guys know that. Like Gallup was my guy. But give me like a DJ Chark. I can never say his name right. Or Cedric Chark, yeah, or Cedric Wilson, or or an Allen Robinson type player. Like give me one of those guys. Let me kick the tires on them.
Do you have any interest at all, because this swept Brown's Twitter too? Do you have any interest at all in Mr. Smith-Schuster?
No.
I didn't think so.
His most productive years were with a really good number one, and you just can't guarantee that with a rookie or he was with a very established relationship between AB and Big Ben, and that is not going to exist because no matter who the quarterback is, especially if it's not Baker, you don't even have a quarterback that's completely comfortable in that system. So no, I have no interest in Juju. I think he's fine. But I need a bigger free agency move to go with it. I don't like the off the field stuff. Like I'm a grumpy old man about it. I've dealt with those players. We potentially have some of those players.
I know their season came to an end. I cannot believe the Steelers made the playoffs. And I was going back and thinking about all the nonsense that they had going on and just like their lack of offseason moves really, and just like all this other stuff. And it's crazy to me how they managed to do that. And then you think about all the moves the Browns made and all the talent that they had and all this hype, which I think was justified. And I hope for every bit that they underperformed last year that they overperform next year.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah. God. We're going to find out, man. We're going to find out. We've got so much to talk about in this offseason, so we're going to move along. I'm going to jump over to Cancel Anime's comments on YouTube. Then we're going to catch up the rest with what we got over here on Roger hopes everyone is jealous that he won a Zabo shirt, and they should be.
He did win. Good job, Roger.
So I'm going to jump over here to Cancel Animes, then do some Twitters, and then we're going to go do Jacob's Corner because I want to talk about some draft prospects because I love it. All right, and there's going to be I've got so much offseason content for you guys. I just am not ready to put a lot of it out because even when I put out these mock drafts, I get just buried. For something that's supposed to be
good as hell at it, by the way. He won't say it, but I will. He's really good at the stuff.
I have too much useless knowledge. All right. Okay, so Cancel Anime says Nick was taking some serious heat on Twitter. His Baker Mayfield. We're not even. Let's not. We can't go there, dude. like yeah. I feel like the residual effects are still lingering out there in the Twitterverse, and we can't go there. I think some people. This is what I'll say. Some people take things too seriously. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say about that. For me, it's whether the organization is confident they can turn Baker back into his former glory. Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely what it is. That is absolutely what it is. How willing would you be to give up Jarvis? I think he's gone.
I think and I don't know if this is like a foregone conclusion or not, but I also think Jack Conklin's gone because I don't think he'll be ready for next year.
But he's someone you can stash on IR just in case he is.
That's fair.
Because you've already accounted for his money, unless you're going to go out there and replace that contract with a contract that needs someone else to be released to replace. You see, if you were going to get another big contract player, but if you do like a draft guy, like a day 2, day 3 guy, or even if you think James Hudson will be better, please. Sure. I think Hudson needs some more time. I think there's something there. He had like a 90 grade against the Bengals. I know it was against backups, but it was still something very, very encouring to see.
Promising, definitely.
It was growth. It was growth.
I meant to ask you your thoughts on just the Conklin situation because he only signed a 3-year deal, right? Because he wanted to get the new TV money deal. Well, I mean, who could blame him?
Respect the hell out of that. Respect the hell out of that.
Absolutely. But so since he's on his final year of his deal, next year is his final year. I think I don't know. It's a rough situation.
I have seen some say that he can be back in 6 months.
Really? Oh, that would be nice.
Like I've seen anywhere between 6 and 14 months. If he can be back in the first month or 2 of the season, I love Jack Conklin. Give me all the Jack Conklin I can have. If he's going to miss, that's the thing. What are you replacing it with? Are you going to draft a rookie? Because in that case, just put him on IR and eat his contract. It's off the books next year. I don't think Conklin's gone because of potentially where I don't know. Maybe it depends on what they do in free agency. I mean, there's a lot of things that could, that could happen. And I think Jarvis is gone. I can't. I love the guy. I love the dude. I do. I have a Jarvis jersey downstairs. I just don't. I can't. I don't think it makes.
That is one thing we have a precedent for, right? Is that when Sheldon Richardson was making dramatically more than his production was equaling, Andrew Berry said goodbye, right? So there's no, and it's so hard with the pass catchers because of Baker's struggles, but I don't think there's any denying that Jarvis is not putting up anywhere near the top. What is he in, like the top 10 wide receiver?
He's somewhere around their salaries.
And so
I'm not paying, and don't come at me with leadership and culture. They still lost when he got here. The leadership and culture was Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry.
Sucks. So. It sucks, but this is part of it, right? This is part of it. So
you gotta move on and find new leaders. I'm not paying $15 million for a locker room guy.
And Andrew Berry won't either. Right. Maybe they'll find a way. Maybe he's still not that old, right? Maybe they restructure him or something. I don't know.
I just can't. I just can't see it. I can't see it. Bengals Packers Super Bowl. Pack wins. I don't want Baker out. I just want to be safe. I respect that, Nick. I have a Buffalo beating Tampa Super Bowl, and I will stick to it. I had that in the preseason. I said that last week, and I will stick to it. Josh Allen with more touchdowns than incompletions on.
We're gonna mention our bet.
Yeah, you're gonna have a mohawk soon.
For those who maybe missed last week's show, Jacob and I and AJ and Ed all put together a playoff bracket, and so you get 1 point for each winner and 5 points for the winner of the Super Bowl. And if I lose, I'm shaving my head into a mohawk. If Jacob loses, he's shaving his beard into a Fu Manchu. And so far, I was perfect week 1. Don't know how I did that. And Jacob missed just 1. So we are still deadlocked.
I missed the Arizona game.
Kyler, man.
Oh, let's not go into that, man. I don't.
No Kyler talk.
I don't want to talk about the Kyler thing. How can you go from an MVP candidate to like throwing for barely more yards than I did? It happened last year. Why am I going to continue to fall into this? Like Kyler will have, because he's just a freak athlete, and then he gets figured out. Every year. It happens every year. And every year I'm like, not this time. Kyler Murray. And then every freaking year he gets figured out. And everybody's like, Jacob, you said not this year. And it happened this year. And I'm like, I was there.
Remember last year, like he hurt his shoulder and like there was like that talk, that Kyler hurt his shoulder and he fell off because it's not that this year.
He actually sat out to make sure he got fully healthy.
Yeah.
They let Colt. They rode with Colt.
I'm sure that not having DeAndre Hopkins hurts a lot, but I mean that offense was still one of the better ones in the NFL, and for the Rams to just completely just dismantle you,
Just
oh boy.
Ed's got a segment. We're gonna bring Ed on and then jump over into my corner because we are already at 35 minutes. So Ed, it's time for what's it called?
Go for it. And here's what we're gonna do, gentlemen.
I thought is it punt or go for it or just go for it?
Well, I decided to limit just to go for it because to attribute to Kevin Stefanski and his fourth down, whether or not to go for it or not. And I'm gonna give you two scenarios, and it both involves quarterbacks because that's what we love to talk about in Cleveland. And there was a report by somebody in the Washington media that says that Daniel Snyder, the owner that obviously likes to meddle in his personnel affairs, he says that he's got word that Snyder is enamored with Baker Mayfield and with the new name launch and everything that's going to happen on February 2nd, Groundhog's Day. He wants a dynamic player to model those uniforms, and Chase Young being a defensive player, and he's a great player, but he wants somebody more vocal, and obviously with Baker and his commercials and everything. So would you guys go for it if the Washington football team, well, they'll have a name probably by the time that this would happen, if it could happen, decided to give the Cleveland Browns a call and Andrew Berry and say, look, we'll give you a number 1 pick for Baker Mayfield. Jacob, Nick, would you go for it?
I'd go for it so fast your head would spin.
Okay.
So,
and then I'd get me Jimmy G. I didn't have to eat Baker's salary. I'd get me Jimmy G, and I'd still have the ability to get one of these dynamic wide receivers. Because I can get Jimmy G for less than 2. So I'd still probably keep mine. I'd have to flip Washington's, maybe give him a day 2 pick as well for Jimmy G. Jimmy G's base salary is like $24 million next year, and he's like 31. Yeah, man, I'd do it so fast your head would spin. It would set off a chain of moves. But yeah, I'd go for it. I'm sorry, and everybody knows I fought for Baker all offseason, but Jimmy, yeah. I would do for it. I think I could upgrade the quarterback position and the other positions as a result of getting that ammunition. So yeah,
I was with you when you bought your Baker jersey. So. Yeah. The anniversary edition jersey. So, and I have a couple thoughts here, but I will answer your question. Ed, this is a great segment. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go for it for this reason. I don't think that Baker is currently up to the value of Washington's first. And so I think just from a pure value standpoint, which it lines up really well with the Browns front office, you're winning that deal. So I'm going to go for it based on that. And so then obviously you have a giant question mark at quarterback. And so I think that's a second piece overall. But I just, I want to pick both because I know Jacob's very pro Jimmy G. I watched that 49ers Cowboys game, and I mean, like he's fine. He's fine. But giving up a first round pick for that guy, I'm
not saying that's what it would take. I'm not saying that's what it would take. Maybe you can package something else.
A couple of number 2s, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be an upgrade from what we have right now. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying.
No, he's not worth multiple 1s.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, but he does run that offense really well. So yes, I'll go. I'm going for it because the value is too good to pass up, and Andrew Berry's a wizard with those picks. So. Go for it.
Maybe it's not Jimmy G, but you would need to use it to flip for something else because you need to have an answer at quarterback. But I think the value is you winning if you also have – so it's contingent, right? If you also have an answer at quarterback. If you think it's Jimmy G, if you've got Russell Wilson in your back pocket, I don't know what it is. I like Jimmy G. I know Cancel Anime says he does it. I do. I like him.
I'm not picking on your opinion either. I'm just discussing.
No, I'm just saying. And he also says I'd hate to see Baker shipped off to some terrible team to fail. I would as well, because if we do move on for Baker, he got us that playoff appearance and he got us that playoff win. So I would 100% hope he succeeds wherever he goes if it's not here.
Yeah.
Well, MC Lawrence thinks that you guys have bumped your head, so that's the initial reaction. I won't. The The only thing I can say about that is I think our window in Cleveland is with this roster, with Chubb and with Myles Garrett, is a good 2 to 3 years of really, really competing with that young talent, and even with the offensive line. So it's hard to argue that upgrading that position, even if it's a slight upgrade, it would still help us get farther to where we need to be. So I like the logic there. I don't think that's actually going to happen anyways, but I think anything to make the Cleveland Browns better, I'm open to. And I think that the chain of actions that would happen because of it, I think it'd be kind of fun. But I just, in a perfect world, Baker would have played well. Everybody wants to get mad, because even my second scenario will involve a quarterback, but everybody wants to get mad at people talking about upgrading the position. Honestly, Baker Mayfield was the one that failed us, and we can talk about the injuries and stuff like that. But as a Cleveland Browns fan, I never cared who the quarterback was, whether it was Vinny or Bernie or whoever, or Tim Couch or Kelly Holcomb. We've had quarterback controversies in Cleveland all the time. That's what we do in Cleveland. And at the end of the day, we just want to win. So anybody that's mad about us talking about Baker, it's Baker's fault. You should have played better, homie.
I don't want to be having this conversation.
No,
I
I don't either. We should be talking about playoffs and moving on. And I'm living in Columbus and seeing Bengals fans talking about, how excited they are and watching Zach Taylor go to a bar and throwing out game balls to the fans. Mm-hmm. That should be Kevin Stefanski. That should be.
On 92.3 this morning, they were talking about Ken was talking about his son, and his son's best friend as a first grader, and he's decided that he's a Bengals fan because he likes Joe Burrow, and he's worried that his son is going to start liking the Bengals, because of Joe Burrow. And I know all this stuff happens really quickly and all this stuff, but then there was someone else that had a kid that also is a Bengals.
Okay, well, so you guys both went for it. Okay, here's the second scenario, and I just saw the tweet later this afternoon, so I'm going to go with it. With Chicago, obviously in flux and needing, going to have a coaching change and everything. There's rumors that maybe the new coach is not as enamored with Justin Fields. I, being a Buckeye, I like Justin Fields, but I could see a coach coming in wanting his own quarterback. I totally understand that. If Justin Fields became available, Jacob and Nick, would you go for it?
Yeah.
Is that faster than the Washington thing? Or
God, yeah. Washington has stipulations to it because there has to be a solution.
Yeah.
Buddy, I'll give you 2 1s right now. And Baker. 2 1s and Baker right now.
As a Buckeye, Jacob.
Right now.
I'm loving it.
Absolutely right now. Could you imagine him in a wide zone read option stretch with Chubb, Hunt?
Stop it.
I need a wide receiver. I need to potentially get one of a David Bell, a Jahan Dotson, one of these guys. I got to find a way to get one of them or one of these guys in free agency. But yes, God, yes. and I like Baker. I do. I like Baker a lot.
Fields of Dreams in Cleveland, and we're not talking about baseball.
I'm on the fence here. I'm on the fence.
Don't straddle the boys. When you're on the fence, it straddles the boys, if you know what I mean.
I gotta think about it.
Play clocks. Tick, tick.
You know what? No. I'm gonna say no because I have seen Baker be really good. I have not yet seen Justin Fields be that he's played some really good stuff.
Terrible offensive line.
I know. Justin Fields has a lot of things that you want, right? God, it would be so much.
Did Justin Fields ruin your Christmas? Did Justin Fields ruin your Christmas?
He's one of the only ones that I would.
Can you imagine?
He is one of the only ones I would go all in for. Jimmy G probably prices out for me, even though I like him. But Fields is because what are these other things we complain about? People talk about Rodgers. It's well, he's too old. Fields isn't too old. Well, Russell Wilson, he seems to be on the decline of his career. Well, Justin Fields was just a rookie in a terrible situation with one of the worst head coaches in football. None of those knocks are against him. None of them. I'm probably
going to talk myself into this because he's only on year 1 of his rookie deal, which is basically a franchise reset.
Oh my God! I didn't even think about that.
I mean, you're he's cheap for 4 more years, right? Which is insanely. That's the most valuable thing in football.
It's Stefanski's system. You're not expecting him to do all the Ohio State. It's more of a vertical passing game. Which look, as a Buckeye, after he took over for Haskins. I was not, especially in the spring game when he was terrible. It was like 4 of 14, and the only thing that he really did was run 98 yards with his feet. And I never thought Justin Fields was going to be good at all, honestly. And then he and Ryan Day, to his credit, he balled out. And then at the pro level, even in Chicago, I thought he would be even worse than he is. But some of the throws that he made and the vision that he has, like he can read defenses. And I always thought the knock on Fields was he's just an athlete. He's just the kid is smart. And he's exceeded any expectations that I had for him. And I just think under Stefanski with AVP, I just think that they wouldn't be asking so much of him. The basic, let's be real, guys. The Stefanski offense for a quarterback, if they can make like Cousins do well in Minnesota with Stefanski, you're not asking the quarterback to do a lot. And that's what's so upsetting about Baker this year. You're not asking him to go out there and even actually win games. Just don't mess it up.
You know what? I gotta say,
that's so disappointing about it. And I think Fields' talent would be, you tell Fields, hey, just don't mess it up. Fields would look at you like, man, I was at Ohio State basically, and I did what I did. And let's be real, I just feel like that his value, and it just translates. And there's been really no great quarterbacks in the NFL from Ohio State. I think he could be the first one in the Stefanski system because you're not asking him to do that much.
Can you imagine running one of those play action boots and the quarterback having the option to run?
You're going to pull a guy. You're going to pull coverage towards him. You're going to pull coverage away from speeds. Like that could be a situation where you could really use Anthony Schwartz. He'd have to improve his hands. But you're going to make a guy. Is Fields going to run for 20? Oh no, he's going to throw it to that dude that runs a 4.25 that just ran past me.
I'm going to get flamed.
I don't want to. I personally am done. I'm not going to spend more time on this, but that's where I'm at.
I'm going to get flamed for saying this, and that's okay. How did we pick first overall and manage to get a dude who is neither athletic nor tall?
Because he was accurate in spades.
That's wonderful, and I'm not trying to discredit him, but could we have one of athletic or tall? One. I'm not asking for both. You don't got to be Josh Allen, man, and I'm not going to go with that.
Kelly always said this about Browns quarterbacks. We did this with Manziel. We did this with Colt McCoy. Small ball works in the NBA with the Golden State. Why do we always go small ball with the quarterbacks?
We have 3 7-footers. Look at us, Cavs.
Yeah, I know, right?
Our size just wins.
All right, guys.
Hey, guys, great first inaugural segment of Go For It. I know I'm gonna get flamed for being, delinquent, but I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm just frustrated with Baker right now. I know I'm gonna get flamed. It's okay.
I ride with 6, guys. I ride with 6.
I'm just frustrated. It'll be fine.
Justin Fields, especially long term, is the better option, and I don't care what flack I get for it.
Just throw some dimes. I'll feel better.
I'll take a bullet for you, Jacob. As a Buckeye, I'll take a bullet for you.
Oh my God.
Ed, we'll have you back on in just a little bit for Nick's.
Thanks, guys.
Great segment, Ed. Great segment.
Thank you.
I love it. I'm going to catch up on a couple of comments over here. Mick asked, by the way, are they going to do something at kicker and punter? Yeah, I think they'll have both new ones. They're not going to roll with a 40-year-old Colquitt next year. I just don't know what there is. I think Koo, is that a young Koo? The kicker from Atlanta is a free agent. Give him all the money he wants. Seriously. Yeah. Seriously, give him all the money he wants. Absolutely, give him all the money he wants. If that was the big free agent signing, if that was Andrew Berry's John, I know John Johnson didn't have as great of a year as what we expected, but that signing was like huge. If his big signing is Koo,
yeah. I mean, look at how many games the Ravens have won because of Justin Tucker. Honestly,
I'd give you a first-round pick for Justin Tucker. Not this because he's like probably, but if Justin Tucker 5 years ago, I'd given you a first-round pick for him. I would have.
He wins your games.
Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson back together again in brown and orange mixes. It would be almost impossible because you'd have to give this year's first round to be able to find a way to make that happen. But if you somehow found a way to make that happen, I would die. My good friend Mike, my buddy Jerry's dad, actually, it was his cabin that our good friend Ross was in this past weekend down here. Wow. And he said he told himself the other night that he was done watching the Steelers late in the season. Then he caught the steel trap the other evening and watched that pathetic performance. He hopes he can tease me more about the Browns Steelers next season. Buddy, I always enjoy good smack talk with you, Mike. So anytime you want to talk smack, I'll talk some smack with you. We got words from some more words from our amazing sponsors, and then we're going to go into my draft corner and wrap it up with Nick's junk mail. All right. The Barking Brown Show is brought to you by Exogun. Ever do a workout and feel like you need a massage after? Well, get your massage without leaving the house. Don't let pain and soreness slow you down. Exogun relieves muscles, boosts circulation, and releases energy so you can recover faster and live better. Take it wherever you need it. Work, the gym, the trail, and put the power of percussion massage treatment in your hands. It's portable, adjustable, and powerful. Exogun is trusted by the pros to deliver the ultimate in recovery. Like we said before, you can even use it for percussion therapy. What is percussion therapy? Percussion therapy, I just said that 3 times, boosts muscle function and recovery by penetrating deep into the muscle tissue with a series of rapid, concentrated, pulsating strokes. Gain back control of your body and achieve long-term pain relief with Exogun. Get 10% off with the code CGS10 at checkout. Comes with a charger and a carrying case. Get your Exogun today and treat yourself to a massage at a moment's notice. Okay, I've got a couple more questions. MC thinks that Jarvis gets restructured and he stays. I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that. I'm not sure what the number is that I'm okay with, but I've seen this question before. Move Wills back to right tackle, get a true left tackle. I don't like flipping him again. I think he's just finally getting his feet at left tackle. He's not as bad as what I think people seem to think he was this year. I think healthy, he is just fine at left tackle. I don't want to flip him again. I don't want to get him. I think you guys are getting ahead of yourselves with the Justin Fields talk. Sure. Yeah, I don't think he's available either, but this is a report that came out from Mike Florio, and we just were going to address it, that if that was a possibility. Because if it is, it's if it becomes a possibility, you would be stupid to trade Justin Fields. Yeah. But you'd also be stupid that if he was available, if you didn't try to get him. If Jimmy G wins the Super Bowl, would you give up a 1 for Trey Lance? Oh, that's fun.
Cool.
Oh, that's a fun question.
I don't think they would never, right? The 49ers are never trading Trey Lance, are they? Because God, he even against.
Doesn't this feel like another Colin Kaepernick situation where Alex Smith was in front of him, started playing good, but they had Kaepernick and they were like, you know what I mean? Like they were like, we want Kaepernick, and then they trade him.
Yeah.
Did they trade him to KC or did he walk? I can't remember, but they went with Kaepernick. And I think that's ultimately what they would do here too. They would thank Jimmy G, but I think they would trade him. I think that's just, and part of that is getting another rookie contract, right? It's part of that. And things like that. And I know it wasn't the same regime that had the Kaepernick Alex Smith situation, but it kind of feels like it would be that situation where I know Alex Smith didn't win a Super Bowl, but he was starting to be really, really good. And he was a former number 1 overall pick. I think that's where we're going with that. But yeah, no, that's a lot of fun. No, I personally wasn't crazy about Trey Lance going into that draft anyway. So I personally don't want Trey Lance, and I'm not giving you a 1 for him because I probably wouldn't have drafted him in the first round last year. And I could be completely wrong with that, but that's where I'm at Trey Lance. So let's talk draft. Let's talk a little bit of draft. Let's wrap this show up with a little bit of draft. And then welcome to my draft corner, everybody. We will be doing draft corner for the most part, most weeks. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of prospects. I'm going to do a round 1 prospect that I like a lot, and I'm going to do I was going to go through my entire mock draft. We're pushing at 54 minutes, coming up on our hour mark, and I haven't eaten yet, and my tummy is rumbly. So we're just going to do a couple of them tonight because we had such an awesome show tonight, guys. And it was because you guys had stuff you wanted to talk about. And I love it. That's what I love. That's what we're here for. So thank you so much for all the topics and the questions. And I hope we can do this again next week. So I have prepared material. He was traded. Okay, Ed, he was traded. Okay. See, that's what I thought. That's what I thought that, it was one of those situations. This could be, I'm not sure they can win the Super Bowl. The 49ers, but if they did, it made it really interesting because Alex Smith didn't win a Super Bowl. if Jimmy G won a Super Bowl after having played in one, taking them to 2 and winning one, that's a fun conversation, right? Like
I love the 49ers, man. I Kyle Shanahan.
I know you love Kyle Shanahan.
I'm
so
sorry.
Mock drafts. Okay, listen, check it out. First round. This is one of my favorite prospects in this draft. The complete wild card. I traded back to get him. I'm not sure if he is cleared medically to test at the combine. I'm not sure you can trade back and draft him at 21, but I love Drake London, the wide receiver from USC. I got told that he's a possession guy, and this guy said to me, and Nick is going to love this. And I know he stepped off the screen, but I'm sure he can hear me. And I got told by a guy that Drake London is a tall possession receiver. I said he is far more than that. And I was then told people who do not watch enough football can't tell someone who does things about football. I don't watch enough football. That's a thing that somebody said to me on the internet this weekend, that I don't watch. I watch far too much football. Look behind me at all this crap he told me that I can't tell him anything about the draft because I'm one of those people that don't watch enough football to tell someone like him who does watch enough football stuff about football. That was the thing. I said Drake London is 6'5", 210. For a guy, listen, if we ride with 6, okay? If we run it back with 6, like a lot of people want to do, he misses high a lot. Go watch Drake London high point of football. Go watch Drake London on these contested catches. This dude is 6'5", 210, 215, somewhere in that range. He is a big dude. I want to see his vertical. His vertical is what I'm most interested in if he tests and his pro day con. I know he has like the broken ankle and things like that, so I don't know where he is in his recovery. I haven't checked onto that. But here's a valid argument against him. Does he have to make so many contested catches? Drake London will make Drake a bandwagon Browns fan, says Ed. Yeah, I love it. I love that. Some people said, is it because he can't separate? Does he not separate? Does every catch have to be a contested catch, a really hard, difficult catch because he can't separate? That's a great question. I need to watch more Drake London film. I think that he is a big, tall, strong receiver that can make the difficult catches in traffic and he can make a quarterback's job easier because of his catch radius. Big, strong hands. Cancel Anime says, if we keep Baker, I'd hope his missing high problem can be brought out of him, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. He has a 4.48. Yeah, so he's not a crazy 40 time, but he's not a crazy slow 40 time. I do hope that the throwing high is fixed with the surgery, which is tomorrow, and some other stuff like that. I agree with you 100%. But a guy that even when he was good last year, there are some times that when he misses high. I think we can say that pretty calm over the course of his career. More often than not, when he misses high. With DPJ, if he can continue to take that step with his contested catches, mixed with Drake London, and then I was able to nab a guy like Jahan Dotson to play the slot in the second round at pick 55, which was part of what I got to trade back to 21 with New England. Oh, boy, howdy. Oh, boy, howdy. Drake London might be physical raw talent wide receiver 1. Physical raw talent. Now, you say injuries. Well, guess what? I'm going to counter that with Greg Newsome, because the things that we are knocking most on Drake London when it comes to health is what we knocked on Greg Newsome. We still took Greg Newsome, and it wasn't for a fluke concussion and COVID, he would have missed a couple games, and he was phenomenal for a rookie.
Yeah.
That's what I would argue, that this feels like an analytical pick. Now, I got one more. We're going to do one more from my corner. Cancel Anime says, is there any tight end prospects you were interested in? Oh, boy. I'm glad you asked. I have taken this tight end at pick 78 in approximately 85% of the drafts that I've done, because he's there. I love Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin. Another 6'5" target. Yeah, you see it. You sense in a theme: big, tall, powerful, strong hand receivers. I think I got a little bit learned by our good friend Stephen Thomas at the OBR at Brown's Daily Mock Draft, and I was told that you can cut Hooper after June 1st, and it would be the exact same cap hit as if you cut him next year. So now all of a sudden I'm thinking, what are the ideas that we might move on from an Austin Hooper if you can re-sign David Njoku? They won't move on from Hooper if they can't sign David Njoku because you're creating another need on a team that you don't want to do. But a guy like Jake Ferguson, he's big, he's tall, he's in an offense that doesn't throw it a lot. The numbers are not going to jump off the page at you, and you're going to say, hey, you're a production guy. I don't know what you want. So he played in 34 games, 23 starts. So you're talking about a guy that has played. You're talking about in the preseason for 2021, he was on the John Mackey Award watch list. He was on the Senior Bowl watch list, a preseason All-America. You know what I'm saying? This is a prospect that he has got the ability. I'll bring up his numbers this year: 46 catches, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's at his career 11.23 yards per catch. And I like Jake Ferguson a lot. So if you're looking at some tight end guys in day 2 prospects, I got him in somewhere in the 3rd rounds. He could eventually test up because, like I said, he did go to a school that over his career runs the football more. That's just what, that's just what they do. But I like Jake Ferguson a lot. He's an interesting guy there. You've got Tim Ryan saying the Browns are 21st in yak. Fix that. I took Jahan Dotson in the 2nd round. I don't see a situation where he's at 55 where I took him. I also didn't see JOK somehow being at 52, but here we are. So, if you want a guy that could really produce yak and Garrett Wilson is gone, I'm okay with taking Jahan Dotson in the 1st round. I think he's that good. I think you could trade back and take him. But if that's really what you want, he's the best slot receiver in this draft, Jahan Dotson is. And I don't even know if he's a full-time slot receiver. I think he's good enough to not just be a full-time slot receiver. But if you did a situation where in this draft, I grabbed Drake London and Jahan Dotson. You got this yak, this dynamic. Garrett Wilson's my wide receiver 1 because of what he can produce after the catch. If he is not there and you want that dynamic after the catch guy, Jahan Dotson is the guy. Although I think you can probably trade back and get him, but I think a situation where Drake London paired. Now, if you wanted to do a Drake London, I think you would absolutely have to find a way to get a yak guy in free agency or, in the 2nd round, the 3rd round. I don't care if you take wide receiver 1 and 2. You could take Drake London and then trade up from 44 and take Jahan Dotson. And I'd be like, yeah, dude, that's a great draft.
They've overhauled a position completely in the offseason before. So, it wouldn't be particularly shocking, I don't think.
You signed Troy Hill and drafted Greg Newsome. You're like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And you got Greedy Williams back. And you're like, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to give AJ Green a bigger role. This is what we're going to do. And guess what? It worked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at. So Drake London, I like him a lot. I think his raw ability. He doesn't turn 21 till June, guys.
Love it. That's the beautiful
thing. Those age
thing.
guardrails, baby. Those age guardrails matter in the 1st round, especially. Kansas May's got another question, and I think we're going to wrap this thing up. So that's my draft corner for the week. We will be back with another draft corner. I will release another mock draft on Saturday. I did one that was fun. That was weird. I think this weekend I'm going to do my first non-wide receiver 1st round draft. So if they were to not go 1st round, and the Malik McDowell situation changes things. If they were to not go wide receiver 1st round, that is going to be let's say they make a big splash. They trade for somebody. I don't know who's out there, but they make a big splash. They sign a couple of guys, trade for a guy. I don't know. Maybe they trade for Calvin Ridley and sign Allen Robinson. I don't know, something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And then they go Jahan Dotson at 44 potentially if he's there, right? Something like that. I will do a draft like that this weekend, and we'll talk some more about that on the draft corner next week. Cancel Anime says, speaking of Njoku, what do you think we could bring what we could do to bring the best of him. He's athletic freak. Either you play incredible or you don't produce. Oh, he's an an athletic freak, but throughout his career, he's been the extreme. Either you play incredible, or you don't produce. I want more red zone targets.
Yes, please.
Big, strong, athletic, mismatch nightmare. We talked about the fades to Odell. Give me more fades to the Chief. That is really where I think that is the one thing you need to focus on if you're talking about trying to get him more involved to get more production out of him in this pass game. It's him in the red zone. Speaking of which, I talked about him being an athletic freak in mismatch. That's what Drake London is.
Good. And you know what? It's no coincidence that David Njoku led the team in touchdown receptions.
Oh, yeah, it was my birthday yesterday. Thanks, Ed. Happy birthday.
We missed your birthday? No.
It was yesterday, yeah. It was yesterday.
Damn. Well, happy belated birthday, my friend.
31. So we're going to bring Ed back on. We're going to bring our good friend, Mr. Ed, back on.
Happy birthday, Jacob. Belated.
Thank you.
I can't believe I missed it. I'm sorry.
How was that chicken parm? Jacob had his birthday meal, which is my favorite meal, chicken parmesan. How was it, Jacob?
Dude, I ate 3. Oh. I'm still paying for it.
I'd pay for it all day. That's a good meal.
Oh my God. It's my wife makes the best chicken parm in the entire world. And she's like, what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, chicken parm. And she's like, I'm just, fresh mozzarella just melted on top of that.
Stop. Would you just stop already?
You know, I literally said to myself, you and my dad have the same birthday. And then I forgot. Oh, I'm bad.
It's okay. It's okay. So that's my draft stuff for the week. Guys, I love I feel like our wide receiver and tight end core could go from being very mediocre to elite very quickly if we make some. Yeah. It's like what Nick just said. We overhauled the corner. It was a liability, and corner was a strength this year, especially at the depth. Like how many people came out of nowhere to play great as corners for the Browns? Like AJ Green, we liked him, but we didn't think he could do that. Yeah, like it was awesome. I think they aggressively go after this. I think you get 3 or 4 new. I think Anthony Schwartz and DPJ are probably the only guys that are safe right now.
And they did the same thing with tackle, right? They brought in a right tackle. They drafted a right. No, they brought in a right tackle. They drafted a left tackle.
Yeah, and they restructured Chris Hubbard to keep him around for quality depth because he had been there.
So and like the Andrew Berry's done this before, where he just addresses an entire. I mean, granted, it's not the same position group because obviously there's multiple different positions on the offensive line, but you get the point.
Our final segment of the day, of the week, is Nick's junk mail. Nick gets a plethora of great DMs.
So
great DMs.
I mean, obviously, if you know me on Twitter at all, if you know. I'm no stranger to the trash talk. It's become a little more difficult lately but you know what? I did not shy away from it with the Derek Carr and the Steelers losing and the Raiders losing and just in general. If there's a way to find it to talk some trash, I'm gonna find it because it's fun. So obviously we pull in some people that might be a little upset about my trash talk. And so sometimes I get a particularly, there's your common, what's the word? Swear word laden, just insults, right? But then some people have some fun with it. And I really, I got to respect them. So no names, please, as our friend Tony Rizzo might say. But I have, so we're dating back to these messages, and granted, I have not responded to any of them, go from October 31st, 2021, so when the Browns lost to the Steelers, and our most recent message was on January 3rd. So he's taking a little time off, our friend here. But
don't respond to my father. Please don't respond to my dad.
He's taking a little time off, but he starts with, "You look like a thumb." Second, "You look like a thumb." Reminder, you look like a thumb. Thumb. It's okay to look like a thumb. He sends me a really wonderful thumb gif, thumbs up. Sends me another one, just a thumb hanging out. And and then a thumb dancing, right? So November.
So you learned to dance.
Yeah, the thumb. I've learned to dance. He's got me a bunch of thumbs. So this is we're right to December 2nd. And then so on December 8th, he must have thought of me again, right? He sent me thumb. So cool. And then he followed it up actually a minute later, and he said, in some cultures, women find thumbs the most attractive thing about a man. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then 2 days later, our friend sends me a thumb that has arms and legs in his dancing. So now I guess we're an all grown up thumb. Great thumb.
So you grew up?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
So then a day later, after he sends me a thumb dancing, he says, "You and JJ Watt have a lot in common. Both look like thumbs." Well,
JJ Watt looks like a thumb now.
I guess. So if you're
thumbs have hair,
that,
what is going on here?
So you know how hard it is to render me speechless.
It gets better. He's been doing some great work lately. On December 15th, he says, "Please go get tested for COVID. We don't have many thumb people left."
This segment was a terrible idea.
So the next day he sends me a thumb, very, very quality. Thank you. And so then on December 17th, he says the Browns could really use a thumb tomorrow. And at the end of the day, at least you'll always be a thumb. So then he was feeling really jolly, right?
On Christmas?
And so on December 24th, he said, "Merry Christmas Eve to you and all your thumbs."
How many do you have, Nick?
I guess
2, right?
I got 2.
Okay, well, how many?
3.
I mean,
so, right? Yeah. See, I'm thumb. So here we are, and so he's feeling really, really festive. And so then he follows it up and he said, "Baker could have used your thumbs yesterday." And so the day after Christmas, he says, "Merry Thumbness." And then he follows it up with some thumb bass. So I guess maybe there's a couple of different versions of Christmas, but if it's Thumbmas, I don't know.
Nick, I want you to challenge him to a thumb war, and we're gonna get this thing on. Celebrity thumb wars.
So on January 3rd, he followed it up, just with the holiday cheer, and he said, "Happy Thumb Year." And that's been my last communicate. And you know what? I'm surprised too, because when the Steelers lost, I talked a whole bunch of trash, and he hasn't responded to me in a long time. And I don't know if I should ask him for some more thumb.
Maybe he lost his thumb.
Things. Ed's doing some magic there for anyone listening.
I hope not.
And so, these are few and far between because most are just, whatever. But we've got some special people. And so I don't even know, it's junk mail. I don't know.
Is that considered like XXX kind of DMs with this thumb thing? Is this kind of like a Rex Ryan, not a foot fetish, but a kind of a thumb thing going?
You know what? See, here's the fun thing about this segment. I haven't even looked at most of the message requests. So I'm gonna start going through these. There might be some gems, right? I don't know, but this fellow, I mean, hats off to you. I gotta give it to you.
Tip of the cap of the week.
You made thumb holidays. Yeah, I mean,
this thumb's for you, buddy.
This thumb's for you. All
right, guys, we're gonna wrap this thing up this week. And now that we got through that,
how do you top that, Jacob? How do you top that?
We don't.
And we said we're gonna have fun here, right? We're not gonna be, like the what is going on in Brown's Twitter right now. And so I hope anyone who has joined this, and you know what, this is a combination of of all of us here. And so I'm very proud to be a part of this because I feel super fulfilled right now. And I hope everyone watching does too, because honestly, we just were talking about this. We're like, yeah, let's do it. And like, look at it. We got a little draft talk. We got a little DM action. We got a little potential. Well, we might stir some pots here, Mr. Ed. So
I don't want to lose my thumbs on Brown's Twitter because of it, guys. I ride with 6, guys. I ride with 6. I don't think that's all I got.
Jacob knows more things about the draft than I don't know. You both got thumb. You know what? If you're listening to this, if you're listening on the podcast, you have to come back to like minute 114 and watch the magic tricks that Jacob and Ed are doing, because secretly they know thumb magic tricks, like which is on brand. I have no idea how it's happening.
Roger said, "What can he say?" And he gave us 2 thumbs up.
No other podcast will talk about thumbs as much as we just did.
Nick, get us the hell out of here, man.
Okay, so this has been episode 40. The
39.
Peyton Hillis.
39.
Episode 39? Is it 39?
Yeah, it's Terrence Mitchell.
I'm dumb. Yeah, well,
it's next week.
What are you gonna do? So this has been the Terrence Money Mitchell episode. You know, we're just kicking off. Oh boy, this has been the Terrence Mitchell episode of the Barking Down Show. It's been a super fun episode, despite my abject failure at the end here. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. That's Ed. Thank you all for joining us. Go Browns.
Go Browns.